Hello people, and welcome back to part 12 of Ilos and modded Cities Skylines build. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you so much indeed for all support during our little suburban expansion live stream, where we came in with the Joaquin Plaza and VisionWorks kind of little commercial centre to sit within some new designs within the Mar grid, and some slight refinements over to last episode's rail yard as well. However, what we're going to do in today's episode is something of a public transport overhaul. These are kind of helpful to do in the city every now and again, just because new paths open up in the city, you build new stuff, new roads come in, and there is very often sometimes more efficient and effective ways for public transport to get around your city as it expands, but you might not realise it. And we're going to combine this rework with a centralised transport hub that sits within the pretty much middle of the Mar grid frame, right, this one right here, to contain buses, intercity buses, trams, underground metro, and overground metro. There's going to be a nice big open commercial space, couple of unique buildings, lots of walking pathways, and a ton of public transport convergence, and also intercity trains as well. We're going to have a train station in here too. So let's build our first ever desert transport hub, shall we? Okay, so initially we did have some condos over here, but I think we're going to rework them into a different part of the Mar grid frame. So I'm going to continue to grab my little collector roads here. Let's come on with Anarchy as we come out, and we'll bring out this road as an initial frame of sorts. We're going to place in our first transport asset, and this is going to be the bus intercity bus hub, which is going to accept regular buses and intercity buses. And it's a nice big important looking asset here. So let's come on with this, and we'll go for, I think probably a placement about there should be acceptable. Okay. This is going to blend in really nicely with the theme of the desert as well. I think it's quite a desert looking asset, right? I think the shelters on it really help bring it into the theme a little bit more. I'm going to be happy with that. So now I'm going to use one of my regular two-way US roads. Bring this down and encompass the intercity bus station there. That's going to help keep everyone in a one-way loop. And we can also complete that one-way loop as it comes around this side as well. Very nice. So we do actually have the bus stands available in this asset itself, but I also want to accompany the main bus hub with a manually drawn custom bus hub using the bus roads specifically from the Vanilla Plus stuff. So let's definitely have a look at how we can do this. So we're going to come in with some of these two-lane one-way bus roads, okay? And let's come off the road guideline for a second. And let's go for a little triplet of kind of custom-made bus stands here. So we'll do 3 lanes for that. I think there's going to be plenty of nice kind of desert-themed detailing opportunities to bridge these two styles in together, I think. We can probably use this one here as well, and actually just get the red texture in everywhere around the bus assets. That's probably going to, again, lend itself to the theme a little bit more. And possibly even a little bit of node controller here, just to widen the node out and give everyone a little more breathing room. Surface painter will be nice here too for bringing everyone together, of course. All jobs for our detailing time-lapse, right? Very nice. I think certainly amusement park path will just going to work nicely here as well to complement these style of roads. So we're going to upgrade these ones into the 1 unit one, and then we're actually going to come down into this one here. We can come back to a road guideline now. And I bet we can do some nice things with this again. I'm going to leave a distance of 3 tiles between for some detailing. We'll also grab a curve road tool as well. So now I want to discuss the introduction of overground metro into Ilos for the first time, and what we're going to use this as is essentially to run parallel with the big diagonal road that feeds into the well, currently non-existent downtown, but eventually it will be there. And I'm thinking one of the content creator stations is going to be ideal for this, okay? Nice big glass front, quite a modern looking building. Okay, and it's going to look really nice, sat parallel with this big road that comes through here. Now there's something we can do with modded transport hub builds now, because of course we're playing with some simple mods like Anarchy and Move It to actually bring the road through here, and we can align it with the pillars and actually have the buses come through and underneath the metro station, and also have them stop here as well. So that's going to be really nice. I'm going to allow that to come into the transport hub, okay? It's going to be really fun. And we should just be a simple case of hooking everyone together with some curve road tools. And again, I think a little bit of node controller is just going to help everyone breathe a little bit easier. And we can do the same over on this side as well. Because we have that bus road underneath the metro station, it's actually going to register as connected. So we can get lots of pathways around here, possibly unique as well if we like. A couple of different things we can do with this space now. Some sort of open parkland maybe. Okay, so alongside the bus station, I want to also bring in some commercial as well. So now we'll come back into our roads, we'll grab some pedestrian, and we're going to go for some of the favourite park life paths as roads. I think I'm feeling zoo path. Okay, I'm going to come off the no road guideline here either. We're going to come out by 6 units. So make a little square here. So definitely want to factor in some campus fountains into this. Let's come ahead and draw out our campus area a little bit, so we can bring one of those fountains in. And then we'll go for the liberal arts stuff that we played with a few episodes ago now. Let's go for a liberal arts fountain. We can place this in here now. Now with Rico, we're playing with some of King Leno's really nice kind of outdoor shopping mall centre assets, and they all kind of fit within a theme and a vibe. So definitely want to play with some of these. Let's start placing in some different ones. There are some branded ones as well. Let's make sure we split them pretty evenly where we can. About a subway here as well, and there is one with like a stone frontage too, so we can definitely squeeze this in. Let's get a couple of these next to it. There's also some nice corner assets in this collection as well. Stuff like this one. So these are going to fit the theme really nicely, I feel. I think we're going to bring the roads together here as well. And then why don't we go for a couple of uniques here to sit within this little outdoor shopping mall. Definitely a huge fan of the Lazarette Plaza, and it does just so happen to fit perfectly there, so you can't really deny that, right? We're going to box this in with a little bit of anarchy. We're going to ban all the cars on this road as well. Only kind of deliveries and services can come into the pedestrianised area. Let's go for another unique. I think the Mall of Moderation, although whilst a vanilla asset, we definitely want to beautify the vanilla trees out of it though, because that's really taken away. And we can possibly replace with one of our own palms. Definitely. Yes, that's going to be great, isn't it? But I think the colour and the design of the Mall of Moderation fits very well into the Phoenix theme. I think I'm happy to include it. Okay, maybe it's going to sit with some wonderful centralisation as well, right, for a little kind of outdoor mall space. Okay. The posh mall would also be a fairly decent shout for a build like this if you were maybe a little more high density. It's a little too tall for what I want over this side of the city, but similar vibes. So let's grab these two assets here with Move It, and we'll drag them across, and then again we'll dig out another one of our corner units to sit. So, you know, you can kind of get the general vibe here with a little kind of outdoor mall space. There's some room as well at the back for some perhaps industrial and delivery detailing if you wanted to along the back, where it sits between the Margaret frame. So the next method of public transport I want to bring in is trams. Let's head over to the university, because this currently is where the tram line sits in the city. So we're definitely going to want to carry on the tram network through the university now. So this one-way system here becomes a little bit obsolete. We're going to come through these spaces. That's fine. A lot of this detailing will need to go now. Although we can just grab props and trees, move it, and then drag this over and probably give that another little copy and paste as well as we come down. And also bring this pathway back in. So this line / turnaround point is actually pointless now. So this can just be turned into, I guess, like a little rock garden or palm garden. I'll just leave it open. And then let's find a road to come through the university. How about this one? Yeah, it's got a... Is that breaking the look of the university too much? No, I think it's fine, isn't it? It definitely fits in. So we'll go for this 4-lane tram road. We'll bring this down, and then we'll come into the same road for a little bit, because I definitely want some car parking in here too, and then we'll move down into one-way tram-only road. Again, saving 3 tiles between for detailing opportunities. Going to make sure we can get some nice repetition either side of the main transport hub building now. And then we can complete the tram loop like that. That's going to allow our trams to turn around. Let's make sure that they actually start flowing now into the tram network so they can stop here. Let's actually budge them along a bit so they don't kind of stick onto the road itself. That's going to be fine. And then again, you want to stop in the university if you would. You know, the university is probably big enough where it justifies another couple of stops now, but we've got one here and one here, and then there's another one down here as well, isn't there? Yes, we've got one there, so it should be okay. That's going to bring trams into the equation. The next one we want to talk about is underground metro, and again, definitely one of the content creator stations for a main build like this. And again, I can see an opportunity here now where we can use the sunken bypass metro station, and it just about near perfectly sandwiches these 3 lines that we have going on. We can even use move just to bring them in to make sure it does as well, but if it fits, we sits, right? And that's pretty much exactly what I wanted to have the metro sat adjacent here. Okay, so what we're going to do with this metro line, let's talk a little bit about the metro setup for Ilos. So we're going to come underground. So currently we have this metro line here, right? This runs with one of the Margrid frame arterials and will continue to do so as the city grows out this way. And it stops kind of once every block, right? There's a stop here, another one here, one there, then one in the university, another one here. So it kind of stops pretty much every block, if not every 2 blocks. And this line here, as it comes out, will also repeat that theme and idea, stopping 1 or every 2 blocks. So what I want this new metro line to function as is essentially an express that's going to stop maybe once every 4 blocks or once every 5 blocks. So you can choose between which metro line you want to take and also transfer very easily between them at several points throughout the city. The Margrid frame here is really going to help us in setting all of this up because it's all just kind of here and ready to be snapped into. So super helpful for that. So I'm just going to snap to that 180-degree angle. And this is going to come straight the way through this area. A nice big straight line. And we can now come through here and factor in metro stops into, you know, previous sort of car park builds that we have over where we started Ilos, where some vanilla assets have come in. Actually, that's pretty horrible. Also here, this metro line is also going to continue down as well. And likewise, we're going to bring this one under now. We're going to have to sink down a little bit to come under the existing metro network. Then we can rise back up. And then this can continue, and we'll also set up this one whilst we are here as well. So there's a brief overview of our current metro connections in the city. So that's going to be it for the bulk of the public transport assets in now. We'll get lines and stations set up and whatnot in a minute. But included within this build today, I want to have a little bit of public transport admin, if you will. And I think the industrial road is going to lend itself relatively nicely for this idea. So we're going to come onto an angle on a road length snap. And we're going to bring up a little frontage road. It's going to sit against the main road onto the diamond slitway. We're going to have a new junction off of this today to feed the transport hub too. And what I'm referring to by public transport admin is a bus depot over here, because there's going to be a lot of new bus lines today. So I think I'm going to go for a biofuel bus depot here. And also a taxi depot as well, I think. But I want this on a slightly different angle. We'll bring a road out there, I think. Very nice. And that saves us some room for some slightly more higher density industrial detail in here. Using some dirt pathways, we can certainly come in with some after dark fence as well if we like. If we search for fencing and go for some of the natural disasters ones it is, sorry, not after dark. Yes, these ones. A little bit of wire fencing here is going to go a long way for helping the vibe settle in a little bit more. Let's go ahead and throw down some grasses as well while we're here. We'll have a little sample of detailing, right? We can't really help ourselves. Let's get some of these down. Definitely lots of saguaros as well. Thank you for helping me with my pronunciations, Phoenix locals. Do appreciate it. Yeah, a few trees around here too. You know, we'll definitely have lots of nice kind of parky commercial frontage detailing around here today as well. You know, there is a little bit of kind of industrial desert space that still sits within this area, and you know, just a brief sample of what that'll eventually sit like as part of this public transport hub design. Okay, that's not be too bad. So we got some car parking in. I think I'll 100% use big parking lots for this because we want them to be a little bit more customized. And again, I think black asphalt is going to be an appropriate choice. So let's come out with just road length and angle. We'll have a drive road by 3, and then we'll come onto a border. We'll go for 6. By 6, and then hopefully 12. There we go, that's going to fit in pretty much perfectly actually, yes please. Then we'll grab the black fillers. Just easier to bring one straight through the middle. And up there as well. Let's get some accessible car parking in first of all. Come on with anarchy of course when we're placing these. We'll have this one's at the front. Placing some regular behind. And then we'll go for some curb enabled parking just at the back, and then we can clip off any inconsistencies. Go ahead and grab our fence in, drop that in there, and let's choose a tree for ourselves. Let's go for, I think possibly one of these. I think they're going to provide a little bit of shade on the car park, okay? That's my reasoning behind it. I think I'm happy with it. Of course, we need to light big car parks, so we will have ourselves a parking lot light, of course, with a little bit of prop anarchy enabled as well. Let's come on to the nighttime view. Seems more than appropriate, doesn't it? And then we can just grab trees, props, and nodes and repeat our design in this space too. And then we'll just make a small design for these spaces on the side, using the same palette though, of course. And then bring it over and flip it around over there. And that'll give us some nice car parking in the transport hub as well. So now I want to work on a road connection into the diagonal arterial that comes through the middle of the city. So again, I think I'm going to go for a asymmetrical highway road here. We come onto road length here too, and then we're going to force down to the ground as we come under the highway. And then of course we can just upgrade a section of the highway into bridge now. That's going to be sensible. Would probably make sense to have this as bridge. But we'll just see how things play out for the minute. Let's bring the next connection down off of this one as well, using a regular road first of all. Let's turn off road bending and bring a connection down for this one. And then we'll bring a curve in to bring them together like that. We can definitely do some node control stuff here too. So we'll definitely widen that out with node controller. Do some intersection marking stuff during our detailing time lapse as well. Okay, well that's going to be a fairly nice way for people to come and go from this part of the town. And then we'll just change the direction of the asymmetrical so the 2 lanes are going into junction. I've already seen some people pick that up as well, which will be nice, alright? I do like the little kind of tunnel that's created here with the bridge too. I'm happy for that little elevated section to stay, I think. People waiting at our tram stop now as well. Of course, lots of pathways to come through during our detailed time lapse, which will increase the walkability tenfold. So the next asset I want to place now is going to be a platform for the intercity trains to arrive into the area. I think we're going to use the little bypass station here. However, this ladder line here now can continue on as a secondary bypass as well, which is really going to help reinforce the rail area here. You know, we could perhaps drop in some custom sort of passenger line assets if we wanted to. I'm happy to use the two different types of rail here as well to differentiate between cargo and passenger. I think that's going to be a really nice visual distinction to help us along as well. So that's now going to be our trains available. It doesn't look like the parking spaces have glitched a little bit. I'm not sure why that is. But okay. It's also gives my road connection as well. I think I'm happy just to hook them into here, and a little bit of network multi-slope is going to be wonderful for bringing these guys together. I can probably actually just entirely remove that node, to be honest. There we go. That fixes our problem, doesn't it? Okay, so that's going to be a spot for trains to arrive, and we'll definitely bring this road down. That has a frontage system and feed it into this network as well. So next up, let's discuss the metro line. So debating between monorail and metro to run parallel with this one. I kind of like the chunkiness and the industrialness of the metro a little bit more than the monorail. We will use monorail, but not for this bit. We could have it flanking, I suppose. We could do both. Maybe it can kind of stop and change as it gets further and further down into different methods. I guess we'll see. We kind of experiment with it, but at least for this area, I definitely want to have elevated metro. So we're going to bring our first stretch of metro out with road collision off, and then just delete the pillars that we don't want as we come across them. Keeping collision off is going to keep our pillars spaced evenly. And again, it looks like this has a pretty sensible path through the existing road network here. We're going to want to curve slightly as we come towards this side. I think that probably wants lifting up a little bit, does it? Looks like they might have enough clearance. I'll wait for someone to come off. Yeah, it seems okay, doesn't it? Might want to lift it up a tiny bit, but no, we're fine with move it during our daytime time lapse. Essentially just let this run parallel with the road guideline. You can use a network multi-tool for this if you want to do create a parallel mode. Just select your nodes with network multi-tool, and then there's a variety of shortcuts you can take to shift it around, and it seems like it's going to be sensible for me. Again, pillars can be moved and refined once you have your main stretches in, and then we can just curve it around now to fill the spaces that we need to. Definitely no road guideline or grid snapping is going to be helpful here. Can bring that through, and then we can add in a multitude of different stations and lose a couple of palms as this goes over. So again, I'm going to treat this as sort of an express line, so I'll just place in a stop down here for the sake of it so we can actually see it moving in today's episode. But of course this will eventually come down into the downtown and feed into the kind of the main public transport hub there as well. But for right now, it's just going to be more of an aesthetic so we can see it active in today's transport hub build. We'll also do the same over here again as well. This can just come straight out and hopefully just cross over our big box intersection nice and easily. Okay, so that is a lot of public transport assets placed. Now we need to actually get them all active. So first of all, we'll talk about the bus routes. So we've deleted all other existing bus lines that were serving this side, and everything is now going to kind of come centrally out of this area. So I guess we'll do one bus route and then we'll time lapse up the rest of them. So we're going to start in the transport hub, and then we're going to come onto an arterial frame. So I'm going to use a bus route to service each of the Margrid frames, and there's always should be one rule that they follow. Every time they enter their assigned Margrid, I always want them entering from the right hand side, and because we're playing right hand drive, that's going to stop buses from crisscrossing over each other. So this first one is going to come out of the central bus hub. We're going to come and serve a few Candy Lakes first. I'm going to stop here on the main road, right by the metro. Again, public transport convergence. And then we can now do a little pan around a few candy lakes. So we're going to come around the outer ring first, stop in every couple of blocks. Then as I come round to the outer edge of the mark grid, we're going to place one in the middle. And then we're going to move onto the outside frame and then come back down and stop here. So it's going to enter and exit at the same point within the frame. And then we can mimic the stops on the way back as well as we start by the public transport supported by the metro. And then this can now come back through the bus one-way loop and complete its stop here. So this format of buses should keep everyone moving nicely. We're also going to have lots of public transport convergence where people can cross over between the mark grid frames and onto metro, plus trams and elevated metro and trains in this area now. So this should become an extremely busy little public transport hub once we've got all these lines hooked in. So I'm going to go ahead and drop in bus lines around all the currently occupied frames, including Steve Goodwin Square, at the university, the rail yard area, and Emily Fields, Liscosity Gardens. Then I'm also going to send a few kind of orbital buses that come over to this public transport hub over here, where we do have some bus terminals available with a tram line, which is already super busy now. Look at that. Yes, please. That's nice, isn't it? When they start using the public transport like that. That error keeps popping up. It is incredibly irritating. I'm not sure what's causing it. Probably mod clash, but we'll deal with it. We'll find out what the fix is. Okay, nice little happy busy area now. And now we can do another little bus here that links over to our centralized transport with the mark grid. So let's time lapse this up and then we'll be right back. So we're currently following educated elder resident Max Clark, who is going to the American football stadium by any means necessary. He's just walking across the highway. Be careful, Max. Oh, there we go. He's gone. So the Ilos residents, of course, continue not to care. I've also switched out to this train station as well. I was feeling the kind of metal verandas on it a little bit more. And I'm having an issue where cars are just despawning as they come in. It appears as though it's an issue with the car parking. They don't seem to be on here, so we're going to see if we can fix this with some of our own decals. So we'll see if that fixes the issue, because they are just despawning as they come in. Okay, so now they're coming in, right? And he's going to go and wait for an intercity train. Make sure he doesn't despawn either. Oh, there's another resident just walking across the train tracks. Where are you going? Olivia, it's all the uneducated seniors. They just go where they want. No care for anyone. Okay, yeah, so they're waiting for intercity trains here now, so we're going to start accepting trains into this part of the city. But either way, let's have a little look at the bus network. So everyone's hooked in now. The buses are starting to stagger out across their lines. There's still a few that are waiting to come and go. But either way, no hordes of people waiting for buses. We've got people waiting and getting off at every stop here. So the buses are starting to get some really nice use now. So definitely want to do some parkland here, and I'm certainly feeling a water feature. So let's start doing a little bit of terraforming. And we're going to sink down into the earth. Not by too much though. Just maybe grab that layer there. That's going to be okay. Then we get lots of keys in here as well. And create like a little parkland and some more ploppable assets as well using Rico today. Gonna have a nice time. Let's go ahead and drop a water source in. Let's pause our game and then let's drag it down. Seems like that's going to be a pretty sensible place. And then, thankfully with Key Anarchy now, we can just come in and place in certainly some waterfront keys. It'd be nice if we can have people walking along here. So snapping to a road guideline is going to be helpful. And then we'll essentially just try and follow the shape of the area that we've cut out. And then we can bring that full circle. Again, lots of little water features and light features are going to be appropriate here for... Of course, we're still playing with some of our fountain jets from last episode where we did a few candy lakes. So maybe we can have a few of these in here as well to help animate the lake and bring it a little more personality. I think a little bit of grass is called for here as well, maybe. Let's have a little look at maybe bringing in some of the artificial grass. At least just around where the lake is. Kind of trim up this bit here and start having pathways. Certainly some zoo path to link everyone through together today. Lots of walkability and open air commercial vibes alongside the transport hub is going to really help complement the build. Likewise over here as well, we can discuss some elevated pathways. I think zoo would be appropriate. I think we'll do a little curved elevated zoo path pattern here as we come back down to the earth. And then we can probably just link this straight over onto the other side and repeat it that way, and then hopefully just bring up a few little connections like this and then down into the transport hub itself by 5 units. And then I think once we've got everyone hooked up here, we should start to see some nice walkability happening around the man-made bus terminal. Let's also start looking at some commercial assets as well that can start sitting alongside our little lakefront, or pond I guess, not really a lake is it? Definitely kind of the open air eatery vibes with the California Pizza Kitchen, and certainly some of the university commercial buildings will work nicely in here as well, I imagine. Especially some of those big 4x4 ones. It's the ones like this where we get the little kind of gardens with them. Okay, we can configure a few of these during our detailing timelapse, of course. But you kind of get the impression, right? Some nice open air commercial vibes, some palms as well. It's going to be a nice time here today, I think. However, guys, that is the bulk of the build in now. It feels like a good place for a detailing timelapse. We have a bunch of traffic manager work to do in order to make it so that we don't get any pedestrians driving on these roads here where we have the outdoor mall. I want to make sure that that doesn't happen. Likewise with the bus roads as well, which are not getting any pedestrians on at the minute. They do seem to be working as advertised, which is nice. Lots more elevated path work to come through the metro station to link people through on various sides, and also get some pathways linking over the highway back onto the opposite side. Some intersection marking tool stuff on the new highway or diagonal road exit, and a little bit of node controller on a couple of the nodes around the build today, just to help widen everything out and let everything breathe a little bit more. Otherwise, let's detail it up and we'll be right back. Okay guys, so let's have a little discussion, post-detailing time-lapse here, and let's have a little look what's happening. Let's come into the public transport overview and we'll have a look at the bus lines first of all. So I've named every one of them so I know where each is going. Also added some new colours in and also changed up some of the models, just so the assets that are actually passing through the transport hub itself actually kind of look a little bit different, so we can see different bus lines coming and going. Everything's super busy. We're getting some crazy walkability happening over from the train station. Once an intercity train arrives over here, it sends thousands of people across. It's getting to the point where it's itching for a part life cheese, but I will try and resist that temptation for right now. But either way guys, that is going to do it for today. I would like to thank you all so much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, likes, comments and shares below really help me out. If you'd like to help support my work, then there are links down to Patreon and Instant Gaming below. And equally as much, if you haven't enjoyed it, please feel free to leave a dislike as well. This is probably my favourite public transport hub we've ever done on the channel, across any of the cities. Really nice to integrate some of the mods and new road assets and kind of custom build bus terminals like this, and also using some of the preset terminals from the DLCs. I've also hooked in the parallel metro line, so we should see that running now. And again, all this public transport that's arrived here and started here can now be expanded across the city. As new mile grids fill out, we can come back and add in a new bus to serve it onto some of these empty terminals. So a really nice way of prepping a city for public transport and also future-proofing it a little bit as well. Do hang around for the cinematics, but otherwise I will shut up and I will leave it there. I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day.